Now, joining me now is an economist and public affairs analyst, Mayokun. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk about this. What's next for global business? Of course, President Buhari is in Riyadh for the summit. What do you think should be his point of call?
Well, I think the target is essentially to maybe get some funds from Saudi Arabia and the other countries that are participating in terms of not aid this time, but investments.
Okay.
You know, Saudi has one of the largest global wealth funds, you know, and they are in a position to invest as they deem fit. For me, the issue is both here and there. It's good to look for investment, but Nigerians have been complaining, you know, that the frequency of his trips, that the results are not as expected. I wouldn't want to blame the president for traveling. If he has reasons to travel, especially on behalf of the country, he has to be encouraged to do so. But more importantly, there has to be a synergy between the trips and the results back home. If we are able to get investments from Saudi Arabia, for instance, as being anticipated, that can be channeled into repair of refineries, that would be a good point for us.
Well, he went to Russia recently, and he got investment for the Jalkuta Steel, of course, and other projects as well. And looking at his frequent trips so far, how would you rate the level of investment that has come in from these trips?
Well, we could do better. I would understand why many countries are not willing maybe to invest in Nigeria at this point in time. Money follows infrastructure. It follows safety of your investments. Investors are not philanthropists. Even philanthropists want to be sure where their money is going into. Nigeria is having issues from a global point of view in terms of security, safety of investments, and the like. We are not doing much. The presidency and maybe the armed forces are trying, but those who choose the narrative are the ones telling others that Nigeria is not safe for your investment. So when they are telling people there and we are telling them that they should come, they would rather listen to those analysts that are telling bad stories about Nigeria.
Okay.
So if we want to change the narrative, we have to fix our local economy and make the country safe for investment.
Okay, so in all of this now, this future Africa investment is coming apart from refineries. What other point should the Saudis come in?
When you look at it, the Saudis are not technology giants. What they are trying to do in this particular instance is to be a hub, is to be a conference point of sorts for different countries willing to meet and participate. There's an advantage for them too. It makes them maybe a bit higher in global ranking in terms of people who bring others together.
Yeah.
So it's not for them particularly. Other investors, other countries, I think about 40 countries are going to participate in that particular conference. So it's a win-win for all of us. Even King Abdullah of Jordan is going to be meeting with President Buhari. Yeah. So there might be others who schedule meetings with the president during that meeting or afterwards. I've noticed that lately, the president of Nigeria has not been receiving many heads of state from across the world. This is another point where you hold bilateral and multilateral talks. We should explore more of that. The country needs all the investment it can get at this point in time.
Okay. All right, so we need all the investment, quite all right, but internally, we need to fix security, we need to fix infrastructure, we need to fix power. If all of these investments come and we don't fix all of these things, then it means that these trips will not be worth it.
Well, the good thing is the investment that have been expected can also be channeled into those infrastructure, power, and security. Okay. We are having issues generating enough local savings for many of these infrastructure development. So if, for instance, there's a PPP arrangement, private power partner, private and public sector power partnerships, and they come in. If Saudi, for instance, is willing to invest maybe $2, $3, $4, $5 billion in our refineries, and they come to life, they will get their profit, our people will get the employment, the presidency will be thanked for at least saving forex from all the investments we make.
You mentioned one point, if Saudi comes in and invests and it comes to light.
It comes to life.
That is the problem. A lot of Nigerians are concerned also about the fact that once this investment comes, we don't see the impacts. And of course, you later start hearing about some
you actually look at it from two perspectives. There is debt that you take from other countries, which you are bound to pay back. True. Then there is investment. Investment does not necessarily have to be cash. You can have investment in technical input. They are committed to it. If it works, they gain something. If it doesn't work, they lose their funds. So if they are coming as investors, they have much to lose by not making sure it works. So if it works, they gain, we gain.
All right, thank you very much, Mayokun, for talking to us this morning.
You're welcome.
President Muhammadu Buhari is in Saudi Arabia for the third edition of the Future Investment Initiative Summit kicking off today.
President Buhari arrived Riyadh on Monday night in company of Governors Babangana Sulum of Borno State, Abubakar Bagudu of Kebbi, Aminu Masari of Katsina State, some ministers amongst others. Under the theme, What's Next for Global Business, the event, which holds from October the 29th to the 31st, will focus on three key pillars: sustainable future, technology for good, and advanced society.
On the sideline of the event, President Buhari will hold bilateral talks with His Majesty King Salman bin Abdulaziz and His Majesty King Abdullah II of Jordan. Joining us now is an economist and public affairs analyst, Mayokun. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. Like the theme, what's next for global business and the focus, sustainable future, technology for good and advanced society. How important is this discussion at this time, seeing that Nigeria is being recognized globally, so to speak?
Well, I wouldn't say Nigeria is being recognized globally. I would say Nigeria is trying to take advantage of a global platform, maybe to sell the country as an investment destination for whoever is coming to that conference. I think about 40 countries have registered. I wouldn't know how many of them are actually heads of state. I know the Gulf countries might want to participate.
Absolutely.
Nigeria's interest is in terms of getting investment for some of our infrastructure and energy needs in the country. Saudi Arabia has a wealth fund, a sovereign wealth fund of some sort, where they invest proceeds from oil that they are not using presently. I think the lesson for me, more than getting investment from South Africa, from Saudi Arabia, is to look at that example. Norway has the biggest sovereign wealth fund in the world. They have like $1 trillion.
Of all these things. So it's not something that is new to them.
But the thing is, you will have to keep hammering on it until you see a positive change. We cannot afford to write off the country. People have been complaining that the president seems to be making a lot of foreign trips and there is little to show for it. I think it is his prerogative as president to travel when he feels that he has a need, or when he feels that the country has a need of his reason for traveling.
But there's an issue, the issue of returnership and the bottlenecks in government and civil service. When these people come and they face these issues, they go back. We've had investors come into the country several times to invest, but the issues of bottlenecks in the service, in getting documentation.
Reneging on agreements.
Reneging on agreements as well.
Well, I think, I give you an example. Look at Ajaokuta Steel, which was a Russian project earlier for some of our own local issues. The project failed. Now the president went back to Sochi and tried to talk the president of Russia into telling his people to come back on a government-to-government basis. But at the end of the day, like you rightly said, are we putting in the right structure in place? It's not necessarily infrastructure as in physical. Our business templates, are we in tune, in tandem with global direction? That
is why this discussion is on, and the president wants to be a part of it, don't you think?
Well, it's not for him to be at that summit that will make that change. It's for him to fix the things that are militating against business development in the country. If he does that, I tell you, money looks for good investment destinations.
But our index, when it comes to when the World Bank we just rose.
We rose like
15 places.
15 places. Like, it's not, see, it's like when you are doing a Google search, if your company or idea is not on the first page, it's not there. If you are not in the first 20 economies of the world, people will barely look at you. You know, when news, if you type Nigeria or recent events in Nigeria, how many of it is positive? How many of it is
we have to just fix
friendly? So we fix that. I'm not saying that the president should not travel. He can travel, but more importantly, when you attract these people. They want to come and look. And when they look and they get to the airport and they see that, okay,
the structures are not in place.
Is this airport in the 21st century? You are kind of, some of them will make up their mind not to, this is not the kind of country I'm coming into. So we have to look at those, put the structures in place, go out and look for investment. And more importantly, there are people in Nigeria that are even willing to invest. Nigerians take money and invest in other countries. Let us invest in our own country too, with the right structures in place.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Joining us now is an economist and public affairs analyst, Mayokun. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so in all of those things now, we're interested in power. And how do we use technology to ensure that, excuse me, all of these investments coming in a sustained one? And of course, how do we ensure that there are no bottlenecks with civil service, with governments and all of that?
Well, on the front end, I would say Siemens was in Nigeria a couple of months ago, and there was this agreement with federal government to take our current power generation from the 4,000 thereabout to about 25,000 within 4 years.
Yeah.
But if we really want to develop holistically, we should be looking at nothing less than 100,000 megawatts. So if the president is in Saudi Arabia and he gets some other signals or investment interest from developed and developing countries alike, that they want to come to Nigeria and invest in the power sector, it's a good development. That is in the front. On the back side, if we don't fix some of the business issues, trust issues, safety and security issues that militate against some countries being an investment destination, they will come, drink tea with us, and bid us goodbye or drag their feet in terms of commitment. So we need to fix Nigeria as a business destination. Infrastructure will do it, but more importantly, ease of doing business. Nigeria has improved lately, according to the World Bank, but it's not enough for me. We should make sure that we are on the first 10, 20 nations that are good for investment destinations in terms of security, in terms of respect for contracts, because that is one place where we are having issues.
In terms of security, the government just purchased some fighter jets from Russia, which we are still expecting, and it has also purchased from the US, which we are still expecting as well. Those are efforts being made by the government. As much as it is trying to tackle insecurity in the country, we cannot, the government cannot fold its arms and not push for...
Yeah, it's a good thing they are doing all that they are doing, but I will tell you something, it is not enough to have the hardware. You know, the safest countries are the ones where they don't even have any attacks, you know. Even US, with all this investment in security, they have the biggest defense spending in the world. They still have issues of terrorism. So at the end of the day, my own take is we should invest more in intelligence. We are not doing that enough. Some of the intelligence we are using to fight Boko Haram in the country is coming from foreign soil. We should develop our own local intelligence, homegrown, that can actually deliver the goods for us.
Mayokun, thank you for your time on TVC Breakfast.
You're welcome.